Hey, I'm Patrick with Rowdy Restorations. Today, we're traveling to Classic Green in West Bend, Wisconsin. We're actually been on the road for a day already, but we had to stop over here at the John Deere dealership. We stayed at the hotel right over there last night. Just had to pull in here real quick to see what some of this new equipment was looking like. Pretty big stuff. They don't have anything like this around home. But anyhow, we'll be on the road for half a day today, and then we'll be up there and we'll have everything set up. So we'll see you guys in a minute. So we finally got unloaded and set up. This is actually Friday morning early. I came out here early to film some stuff. Here's some of the scrap metal that I brought. Got the little hot rod. Ready for another day at the show. The guys decided to bring out the post hole diggers this time, I reckon. No, Kenny brought one, and Scott Woodridge brought one, and I can't remember who the third one is. Oh, Colton brought the third one. Makes sense. The lawn and garden guys showed up this time for sure. Got a nice display out here. I'd sure like to find me one of those air compressors for my round fender one day, but in time, I reckon. This is a neat little setup here. Hopefully this wind isn't too noisy for you guys. It's been windy here the whole time. Colton's little loader backhoe combo. That's quite the setup. I'd hate to have to bury much of a pipeline with it, but it is super cool. It's even got nice outriggers. Pretty sure Kenny just picked that up. Little patio tractor with a loader.
Yeah, a lot of those guys started off really small, and they got successful, and they went to their head. They wanted to change the world. All right, I think that's okay. Walk over that.
Nice lineup outside here too. This building here is slap full of garden tractors. We'll go through that later on once they open everything up. Like I said, I'm here pretty early right now. These Danco loaders are pretty good property to have. The John Deere Bs are the featured tractor this year. .318 with the center blade. I'd like to find a center blade for one of our tractors. They're pretty cool. And being in the grading business as long as I've been, it's just kind of fitting. 332 would also be another nice one to have. Maybe just get one of each. Patio 140 with the center blade. There's another Johnson loader. I've got a thing for forklifts, I guess. And this is quite the lineup that they've got here. I've ended up to kind of start collecting forklifts, I reckon, with the amount that I have around. Hopefully one day we'll get our John Deere forklift looking pretty good. Our big one, that is. We have a 480, I believe is what model it is. It basically looks like a 2020. They got some Waterloo Boy engines here. This is all the Myers family stuff. Jim Myers does a pretty good job on his mini tractors that he builds. He's got quite the collection. Even got a mini forage harvester. I'm not sure if they used to run them in the day or not. They farm up the road about 40 minutes from here. We went by their place on the way to Keller's Museum, and they had a really nice lineup of tractors out front. So the industrials are another one of the features. They usually do several features at the Classic Green Show. And they've got a barn full of very, very nice industrial stuff here. We'll walk through this stuff and take a look at some of it briefly. But first, one of my buddies saw this and told me about it, and I just stumbled upon it. That is a John Deere mini bike with a pony motor off of a 720 diesel. Now that right there is pretty darn cool. I guess this is another one of those one of none built. I love coming to these shows and seeing some of the stuff that people come up with. John Deere 820 has Hancock industrial options on it, it says. Now this was a John Deere mule tractor. So it's a John Deere AR that was pulled off the line in Waterloo and set up to use around the factory for pushing rail cars and just other chores around the factory. And the Smith family brought this tractor up from Tennessee. So they're down near me. I say near me, they're in the next state over, but it's a lot closer than where we're at now in Wisconsin. 40U industrial, a 320U industrial, another 420 gas industrial. There is a 1951R industrial. It says it's the only one remaining. John Deere 420. That thing's pretty cool. Now that is very cool. 4010 industrial standard. With a push blade. I love it when people do the implements. Now this tractor here is very nice. I scoped this one out yesterday. Says the tractor was used to build roads in Oklahoma. And they have a pedal tractor that matches it that is somewhere. They must have put it away for the night. And here's a John Deere 600. Or is it a 700? No, it says John Deere 600. Oh, here's the 700. They have their tag hanging on the wrong tractors. So the 700 series is the industrial version of like the 5020, I believe. Yeah, 5020. And the 600 is the industrial version of the 4020. We'll hit these guys here real quick. I snuck over here early today to try to get some footage of this stuff without too many people around them, so you all can get a good look at them. It's a nice MI. We've got an orange MI in the shop right now that we're working on that we have got to get done. Here's Mr. Hamilton's 330U factory orange tractor. He's at a Perry, Georgia. And there's a 420. 420T with a wide front, factory orange. That's pretty cool. Looks like they've had to do a little bit of repairs on the rear. But that's a nice tractor right there. And then I believe this is a 80. Looks like it was painted orange. Kansas Highway Department tractor. And if that thing wasn't orange when it rolled out of the factory, it's been orange its whole life. I haven't really looked it over, so I can't say one way or another. Some nice little LIs. That right there is an experimental John Deere M. There's the information on it. And then it appears that they have come up with the experimental MI from somewhere. And at Classic Green in Tennessee, they had the M set up with strings pointing to all of the experimental stuff that made that tractor unique, and it was all options that were not in production. One very obvious one, if you've worked on the M's, is look at where the hydraulic lines run. Right there. Once they went into production, they were under the hood and behind the dash. And there's a lot of other stuff once you start looking, but that's just the super obvious ones. And then there's the tag down there. And this tractor here looks like it has a Model M serial tag on it, but then has that other tag hammered to it right there. And you can see that where they rolled the drops forward, and then they've probably custom built that drawbar before they figured out what they were going to do. And here's another nice MI right here. Another LI with a push blade. And this says that this was an experimental 4430 or a pre-production 4430. Not sure there, but that's another very unique tractor. So the John Deere Bs are the feature at this show. And they've got a handful of them here. Lots of different models, or let me rephrase that, lots of different variations of the B. Some very nice work. The other side of this barn is full of them. And the next barn over there is full of them. And then the guys that prefer to set up outside have them lined up nearly as far as you can see out here. I love it when they still have implements with them, because it's getting to a point now where people don't know what these tractors were used for. And that's some kind of hiller, I would say. I guess that's what you would call that. I'm not familiar with what that was used for. Obviously it would roll dirt up against the crop as you went down the row there, and then it had shovels here on the back to turn the dirt back over from where the tires drove. Pretty cool. So Classic Green's also good about keeping entertainment for the kids around. So if you bring your youngins, they've got this area set up right here. Duck races, pedal tractor pulls, little robo gators to ride around on. Here's another super cool project that somebody built. Look at that thing. Now that is neat. If I can find out the story behind it later on, I will let you all know. There's a frickin' A, according to the tag. We're up here in snowmobile country too, being in Wisconsin. And they have a pile of them inside, so we'll look through those later. They brought the big iron out back there. I say that, and when I was growing up at the shows that I went to, if you had a 4020, you had one of the biggest tractors at the show. Kind of like when Rantoul, when you get out there, those guys bring those ones out just to prove a point, maybe, I don't know. I'm glad they bring them. Here's a nice R. For sale. Looks like these guys have a pretty big display here. So I was walking around and Lee grabbed me because he said, "You've got to see the load that just showed up." And he was not lying. Look at that stuff on there. Sweepster, mini lift, pulling tractors.
There you go.
And look at that.
That 140 on tracks. Trencher.
He brought it in on a pretty cool ride too. We'll definitely have to scope this stuff out some more when it gets unloaded. Snowmobile one, maybe, I don't know. Now that forklift on the back, that mini lift, that's used to be Don Maryhue's. Don helped me a lot when I restored mine. I'm not familiar with the patio one that's on there though. We'll sneak in here to the lawn and garden building real quick before it gets too busy. How are you? Here's a nice setup right here. Rear mounted sprayer on a round fender, 64. 3735, that's pretty close to mine, I think. I can't remember the serial number for mine off the top of my head. Air compressor. That's on the list of need to find implements. I have a little pull behind sprayer. I believe mine's a 5A. I lose track of some of this stuff sometimes. That's cool. We'll come back down that line. And the Patio Series tractors, for those of you that are not familiar, this was a marketing deal that John Deere did. They started it in 1969. Claimed it was to get women excited about mowing the grass. My dad and I actually had a full set of 1969 140 patios. They were all 1969 H3s. So they would have been very similar. Well, this one's not a 69, but they would have been very similar to this tractor here. They were unrestored and Dad decided to sell them, which if any of you know my dad, that comes as no surprise. Here is the other restored Navy tractor. This one was restored by Brandon Pfeiffer years ago. I've heard that there's 4 of them around. I don't know about the 4th one. I know for sure there's 3 because Brandon Pfeiffer owns the parts to build another one. And according to this fella here, Steve, which I have not actually spoke with much, but he says on his information here that there's 3 known to exist. And I have copies of the studio photos from John Deere for where they produced that tractor. Here's some more patio tractors. Here's actually showing the color options. It's a nice early dump cart. Got a wood floor in it, that's pretty cool. Super nice sickle mower. I feel like these guys brought this display to Classic Green in Tennessee. But this, they have got a beautiful display. Some information about it. I love when they are able to put these boards and stuff together for them. I've always wanted to do that and I never seem to find the time. There's some Brindley 3-point Danhauser post hole digger. $112. A 110 with sickle mower. Patio carts. Man, they've got it all right here. Check out the display. It's a really nice 68 140. It's got the center blade on it with 3-point. It's a side tag because you don't see the tag underneath the steering column. That means this tag is on the side of the battery box. That was very first production. They've got a little Brindley disc to go behind it. Here's some more advertisements that they've put on these boards. Super nice display. I'm gonna have to come visit with them some more. Cozy cab on a flat fender. Well, that's a 120 or a 140. I can't tell from here. Here they've got a 140 with a Johnson loader on it. Round fender 110 with a number 10 Johnson loader. Here's some information about where they've restored them. And then the one with the Johnson loader even has a 3-point with a little Brindley cultivator behind it. Impressive lineup. That's a 63 110. I guess they were featured in Lawn and Garden magazine. Kate and Brandon did that magazine for a long time together. There's another 64 110. Let me not get too out of focus here. I'm hunting one of those tillers for my 110. This is a 65. My little 110's a 67.
What year ours is though?
I was hunting a tiller, but maybe I'll set up a I have a plow, and I've got the sleeve hitch, and now I've got all the attachment stuff in case I'm missing something. I might set it up that way. That's a 63. Nice. .332, so they had a Yanmar diesel engine in them. It's got a lot of faith in that tractor right there. I'd like to see it scoop 2 buckets of dirt with that. Nice little 110 with hydraulic lift. .200, so the 100 series is the featured lawn and garden here. So they had the 100, 200, 300, and 400 tractors. Which I'm not familiar with those models. I don't really deal in that stuff much. Somebody's got a full set of the LGT pedal tractors painted up in patio colors. Here's another 300 and a 200.
Whoops, excuse me.
You're fine. Thank you. Check this out. Brantley Manufacturing Company. John Deere 400 with a front loader and a backhoe on it. That is cool right there. That is cool. It's a John Deere 100 model on a Snowco trailer. Tom threatened to bring his Snowco trailer up here, but he wimped out. I didn't bring it. We could have put one of my tractors on it to display. We'll go down this line here. All of the patios. Little 70. Loop back around this stuff. There's some snowmobiles. We'll go down that side. And these are all there's some information for you. Manufactured by John Deere, badged as a Honda. I don't know if they just didn't have nothing going on in 1999 and figured that would be a good idea or what, but.
What was the one you talked about? Thank you. Evan.
They've got this sled on a little cart for moving them around. I guess we are in the land of snowmobiles up here. They've got signs up saying you can run your snowmobiles on these certain roads, and I was talking to Jim Myers about that, and apparently the John Deere sleds in their day were actually pretty good machines. So they were winning a lot of races there for a while, right before Polaris bought out their design. Quite the impressive lineup, and I feel like the snowmobile collector world has gained a lot of traction here recently. Maybe it was still going on and I just didn't know about it, but man, you really see them out at shows now. They do an article in the Green magazine pretty much every month about them. Pretty darn cool. There's a nice 120 in orange. It's got the 80 dump cart and the sickle mower. I think I need to work on finding a sickle mower to put on something. With the Brindley front rack. It's super cool. Miniature 3010. Oliver was definitely out here checking this out because of the implements. I guess I need to get to work building him some stuff. Here's a mini 3020. Nice 318. And a cool little 60. These little 332s had a diesel motor in them. I'd like to find one myself. And obviously they're proud that it has a diesel in it. Another one with a sickle mower. Super cool stuff. Here's that 5010 industrial pedal tractor to match the big one. They brought it back out on display. There's another open air building here, some Van Brunt equipment. John Deere Spoker D. Pulling a Van Brunt drill. Some horse-drawn drills. Looks like they've got a working display over here. Some hand crank corn shellers. Belt driven shellers with little engines to run them. Waterloo Boy tractor. This is a pretty rare deal here. Waterloo Boy stationary engine. Waterloo Boy portable engine and a Waterloo Boy hit and miss. I actually think the Waterloo Boy engines were featured as well at the show. So we might have added something to the collection. Little Brindley plow with a 3-point. You can put that behind the 140 for now. Don't really have any little 3-point implements. Don't know where we're gonna put it to get home. Came with a pretty full load, but anyhow, got a few other things too. I actually picked this up as well. But like I said earlier, the vendors are here and they've got stuff to get your projects done.
Thank you.
Frederick Tire. Do some business with him. Dave Cook. Bought parts from him over the years. There's Keith again. He has plow parts and other stuff. There's actually some other cool property right here. Sleeve hitch stuff. I have a cultivator. It's in kind of rough shape. Sleeve hitch that I could probably get fixed up. Some more LGT stuff. Little snow plow on that one. Lee White set up right here. Specializes in Dubuque parts. I do a lot of business with Lee. There's some information if you need it. Hey, we've got another collector here. This is Scott Woodridge, world famous Scott Woodridge here from the lawn and garden collector world. He's got a pretty unique piece that he brought. Tell us about it a little bit.
All right, 1970 John Deere 140 H1 model stuff. Got Dan used their postal digger. It's a CD1 that was factory built for Deere for the 140s.
So that's the serial number that you have to look for if you're wanting to get one that's factory built for a 140.
Yes, you actually look and they'll all say CD1, but then actually the serial number itself will tell you if it's for Deere or for Cub Cadet, Allis-Chalmers, and maybe Wheel Horse. I think I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
On that one. But yeah, so you just have to get the number and it tells you what it actually was for.
Pretty cool.
For in the Deere world, as I call it, the Deere lawn and garden world, there was an option to have a weight box and actually the pump, hydraulic pump that actually just raised the head up and down for your digger itself.
Right. I noticed that the hydraulic pump on this one's different setup than what's on Kenny's here then, right?
Yes. Kenny actually doesn't have a pump, but he actually is getting a pump, so he just has to run his off the tractor itself to raise the head up and down.
Okay.
And everything. But it was an option, but we're gonna get Kenny one.
Nice. Yeah. So you have a few other lawn and garden tractors too, I reckon, right?
I've got a couple.
A couple.
Yeah.
So Scott has another mini lift, or I say another, but he has a mini lift.
Yes.
Like mine. Actually, Kenny here, I don't know if I'll have time to catch up with him and interview him for you guys, but he's got a mini lift as well. So Scott's definitely been around for a minute. He's got quite a few rare tractors, to say the least. And where are you from?
Out of Galesburg, Illinois.
Out of Illinois, there you go. So he didn't have near as far to go as I did.
No,
but
no, not this time. No, not at all. No, it wasn't bad. But I'm mainly old round fender collector, 63 through 67, diehard round fender 110, 112. But then I branch up to the 120, 140s and stuff if it's cool attachment. I mean,
So that's
you have to have it.
that's kind of like the way I've gone with my stuff too. I'm the same way. Round fenders, flat fendered 110, 112. I have very, very little interest in, but the round fender 110, 112s, absolutely, and then of course the 140s, obviously. But obviously I like the 140s too with all the other junk I brought. So,
Oh yes.
well, good deal. Well, thanks for coming.
They're fun. Good
Have
times.
you been to every Classic Green so far?
Every single one.
Nice.
I won't miss one.
Nice. Good. You're not going to miss one? Guarantee it?
Pretty much guarantee it.
Good. I like
Yes.
it. I like to hear that.
That's what we're all about. Classic Green, baby.
Another odd attachment that would never go in today's times. That is a Blitz fogger. I see them in the Gravely literature too. So what that is that's a fogger for bugs, and it has a line that comes over here and goes in the exhaust to fog out your property to keep the bugs away as you ride around and mow your grass and breathe all of it in. Definitely different times. Pretty cool scale model here. They had a lot of pictures on Facebook during the process of this tractor. These guys specialize in building scale models and they do a great job. I mean, look at the wheel weights on that tractor. How are y'all?
We already knew they did. And the one we had charged.
Man, would you look at that dirt? I wish we had dirt like this at home. All right, so we'll call that episode 1 from the Classic Green Reunion 2025 in West Bend, Wisconsin. I should have enough stuff to do probably 2 more episodes, I think, from the show, and then we'll do 1 episode on the Keller Museum that we took a tour of. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Also, if you hit the notification bell to all, you'll be notified when the next videos come out. Just bear with me. It takes me a little bit of time to get this stuff edited, but hopefully we'll have it up real soon. Thanks for watching.